Yo, yo, what's up? What is up, y'all? What's up, Nate Esser, bro? Good evening. Happy Friday, everyone. Nate, I'm doing it right. How about you? Hey, doing it right, man. Just chilling. Happy that it's Friday. Had dinner. Play a little bit of games with Zoe. She wanted to play some Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Now, it's my turn to play games. Because I want to play some games. My turn. Oh, and I got a Baja Blast. A Baja Blast. How was your day, Nate? What'd you do? I really like Mountain Dew, man. Again, I rarely have real soda. You guys always hear me talk about how I'm a big proponent of most of the time having diet soda, and then when I want to treat myself, I'll have like a real soda. I can code switch, like I always say. I think real soda with sugar is superior. But if you don't want to be 600 pounds and you want to drink a lot of soda, then diet's the route to go. And so that's what I do. I've sent resumes to many law firms that I could. So far, nothing. Just waiting to find out if I ace the interviews for that CPA in Hermosa. For a second at glance, I thought that said the CIA. You're gonna get a job with the CIA. Almost got hired as an event assistant. Timing was off. Alright. I guess on the agenda tonight is to play a little bit of COD. And then play a little bit of Mario. Whatever it is, the When I Grow Up, the coloring book. I never really got to hear what you've reacted, but what did you think about the direct? I think I give the direct, if I were to give it a score out of 10, I give it a 7.8. It's not bad, but also not great. I kind of expected some better main Nintendo IPs. But it was some cool stuff, right? So what did we get? We got... Actually, let me pull something up here. Actually, watch this. I need a reference or a reminder to talk about. So starting down here, we got Mario and Luigi Brothership. I am excited about that. I'm a recent fan of the Mario and Luigi franchise. Or I should say Mario IP. Mario and Luigi IP. Under the Mario franchise. It made sense to bring Metroid because we are near the end of the life cycle. Yes. And there's also like discussion circulating about it that some people think that that footage was not the Switch, but the Switch successor. And is anything possible? Yes. Could it be that they showed that and it's going to come out in the Switch successor and not the Switch? It's possible, but it's a stretch until things are confirmed 100%. I treat everything objectively. Like, here's what we know. Nintendo earlier this year said, like, stay tuned for, like, what is it? Let me pull it up. Nintendo game and Switch successor this year. Let's see. They made a tweet. Nintendo Switch successor tweet. This is Furukawa, President of Nintendo. We will make an announcement. This was in May. We'll make an announcement about the success of the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of the Nintendo Switch back in 2015. We'll be holding a direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 24. But please be aware that there'll be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. So, the presentation we just had, you have to treat it with what we know without getting too far in the deep end of speculation, which, nothing wrong with speculation, but it holds no weight because it's simply just you're acting on things that have not been said or have like not been confirmed, right? So, because it's stated here, and then Nintendo announced it. Oh, never mind. This is actually their, I think. Oh, anyways, there was the more recent tweet that was like, let me see. Might as well pull it up. Nintendo Direct. Oh, let's see. Just hold on 1 second. Join us for the Nintendo Direct live stream, focused on games coming the second half of 2024. There will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during this presentation. So, based on the tweet in May from Furukawa, based on this tweet that was on June 17th, you have to... It's like taking somebody at their word, right? It's like, sure... Someone can be lying, sure. Could this be like not what it seems, and maybe it's the Switch successor playing that game? But there, see, then you deal with the possibility of like it's the same thing with like your friendship. If somebody says, "Hey, like," you ask your friend, "What'd you do today?" "Oh, I went to the mall." You know, it's like you take them at the word that they went to the mall, and they're not like, I lied, I was at home all day, right? There'd be no reason to be like, I don't think he went to the mall. You know, it's like the same thing. It's like they're stating that this Direct was Switch software, no successor. Okay? So based on that, the drama doesn't make sense, or the discussion makes sense about the whole it not being real footage from a Switch, as if the Switch can't do that. And I was talking to my cousin Carlton, which I don't know if he's here in the stream, but I was talking about it, and I was like, and it wasn't from a hater perspective, but it's like the game looked good, but it like looked the right amount of good for a Switch. Like it didn't look like AAA title 2024 good. We're talking Metroid Prime 4. Because people are like, whoa, that looked too good for it. I'm like, have you seen footage of what games look like in 2024? Like that footage of like Metroid Prime 4 looked like last gen like graphics. Like it looked like something you can play on either like on like an Xbox One. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it didn't look like that amazing. It even looked like it even looked like a good Xbox 360 title. Like it didn't look like something so good that the Switch is incapable of rendering that kind of footage or playing that kind of game. It's like, dude, the Switch outputs at 1080p. That looked like 10, and they uploaded the Twitch Direct in 1080p. it's like it looked like 1080p footage of a game. Like it didn't look like it looked like where it should be. Like it didn't look like out of its league. It's like, have people forgotten that like the Switch really isn't that impressive and it's not that powerful? Like it looked appropriate for the Switch. People are like, yeah, dude, that looks too good for the Switch. I'm like, no, that looks like right about what a Switch could do. I mean, that's not, and it's like, if you're saying that that's like more powerful than Switch, I'm like, well, like now you're kind of like making fun of Nintendo, because that didn't look good, like for something outside of a Switch. Like that looked right, the appropriate amount of what a Switch could do. Brian, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man. How's your Friday going, man? What are you up to? What have you been up to, bro? Anyways, does that make sense? It's like, I love my Switch. It's like, if it came down to it, dude, I would just put my PC in my Switch. I don't care about my Xbox or my PlayStation. It's like, like, let me just like qualify like some of these statements so like people might not think like I'm a hater. Like, Nintendo's like my favorite console, always has been. Growing up, it was, well, my parents gave the option, do you want a Nintendo or do you want a PlayStation, right? Because even though we were like middle class, it was still like, you can't have both, so which one is it? It's like, I always chose Nintendo. Nintendo's always been my favorite, still my favorite. Held on to my Nintendo games. Mario's still my favorite IP, but like, it's like, you know, it's like I'm allowed to like affirm when to affirm and condemn when to condemn. And it's just like, in that instance of Metroid Prime 4, when they showed on the Nintendo Direct, it was like, when people were like, that looks too good for the Switch, I'm like, it's like, they were thinking it's like, it was like the Switch 2 being recorded, like footage from a Switch 2, like, because the Switch can't do it. It's like, well, I mean, like, are you telling me you think that's like, that looks really good? I mean, it doesn't, bro. Like look at a game in 2024, AAA like shooter title that looked like watered down as hell compared to like a recent like game in 2024. So it's like, no, like that's right about where a Switch could be playing a game. It's like, come on. Been good working from home now. Oh, cool, man. Different line of work, right? Because you were working at the dealer, right? Anyways, let me catch up to what chat was saying. Nate, what do you got? It says, it made some sense to bring Metroid because we are near the end of the life cycle. That's true. That's true. It's good that they finally brought Metroid Prime 4. When was it originally announced? Like E3 2018, 2019? But anyways, so that's my thoughts on Metroid Prime 4. It's like, no, it looks about right where it needs to be. It doesn't like look impressive like anything more, but it's like, no, that looks like what a Switch can do. So it's like, it's neither too impressive, but it's also neither like, I mean, a Switch can do that. Like the game is either in 1080p or like 900p or some like in between resolution, right? And it's like, the Switch can do that. We saw the footage. There was a lot of in-game play, a lot of like CGI footage or whatever, right? But in-game stuff is like, I mean, it looks good. It just doesn't look impressive enough to say like that's not like that's the Switch 2 or something. It's like, what? I mean, wake up, bro. Like, it's like, what do you play, Animal Crossing all day? Have you ever seen what a game looks like in 2024? Like, that's not impressive footage to be claiming that it's not a Switch. Like, that must be the Switch 2. Anyways, so Mario Luigi, right? We were talking about that. The game's announced, right? That was my TED Talk. That was my reasoning of a game for Metroid Prime 4, of like my thoughts on it. Like, I love Nintendo. People are being weird. It's like, the people that saying that stuff, it's like, do you only play Nintendo Switch? So like, you don't know what a good game looks like? You know? It's like, I love Metroid Prime. That's like Metroid Prime 1 of the GameCube is like my favorite. But it's like I love it, but it's like, that that footage from the Direct didn't look like so impressive that it could have not been the Switch. Like, oh, that looks way too good. It's like, well, no, it looks right about where it should be for a 1080p console. Like, it doesn't look impressive, but also, like, come on, give the Switch a little bit more credit. Okay, a Switch can output that. You just saw Metroid Prime HD was released, what, 2023? And get this. We're later in the Switch's lifetime. So, like, by this time, whether it be Nintendo themselves or any other developer, people have had this much time to know how to develop on this console. So, like, games should look better later in a console's lifetime, right? Because that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. Games at launch sometimes don't look as good as the games that are like the last year of the console's lifetime, because by that time they've spent much time like reverse engineering, understanding how the console works, that developers are able to get more out of a console. So it's like, okay, maybe Metroid Prime couldn't look like that had they launched Metroid Prime 4 in 2017, 2018. But it would also make sense that it would look that good in 2024, because by this time, all developers are able to get more out of a console because of how long we spent with it. You know, it's like, look at anything, right? So it's like, even like the N64, it's like, yeah, I mean, like you gotta, people must know that that's a thing. Like, games that are later released on a console's lifetime look better than the games that are first released, because the games that are also first released have been being worked on before the official launch of the console, and by the end of the lifetime, it's like companies have and developers have at this point reversed engineered the console enough to be like let's say we made a game that was able to run at with the same exact stuff, I don't know, 900p at 45 frames, and it's like, after all these years and research and understanding how things work, it's like we're able to take the same game and do 1080p at 60 frames. That's a normal thing to do. So with that being said, if Metroid Prime looks too good for the Switch, it's like, well, it's also a late Switch title in the Switch's lifetime. So at this time, it's like, yeah, of course games now are people are able to make games look better later in a console's lifetime. Squishy Lemon, hello, what you yapping about? Yapping indeed. We're talking about the Nintendo Direct. So yeah, but anyways, Mario and Luigi, big fan of the series now. Didn't know much about the Mario and Luigi IP, because it was a Game Boy Advance. And remember, and there's a bigger reason behind this, because I was never a handheld guy. So no matter how good a game is that came out on any handheld, I just never. It's like okay, it could be the number one handheld, for example, number one Game Boy Advance game, DS, 3DS. It's I wouldn't care, because I've never been a huge handheld guy. I own all handhelds now, and I love the stuff that's come out on the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, DS, 3DS, Game Gear, you name it. But I was never a big handheld guy, so I never cared. So it's why would I care to know? Why would I care to know games launched on something I don't care about, right? Mario and Luigi. They first came out on the first game was on the Game Boy Advance. Okay, then they made stuff for the DS, 3DS. This is their first time making this game on a console, because again, there's no more handhelds for Nintendo, because the Switch is the hybrid replacement for a console handheld. So I'm excited to play it, because it's very much, in my opinion, another offshoot from Super Mario RPG, right? We talked about, I think, was it last stream or 2 streams ago, that the spiritual predecessor being Super Mario RPG, and then coming from that, paralleling is you got your Paper Mario series, your Mario Luigi series, right? Those style of games are very similar, but not exactly the same. Just enough to be in their own field, right? Respective fields. Squishy, what is Nintendo Direct? So that's like games. What was it like Xbox game? What was the recent thing that they just announced a bunch of games? Like PlayStation and Xbox have their dedicated keynotes where they now announce a bunch of games and stuff, or hardware, whatever it might be. Xbox had one. Didn't PlayStation have one, or is one's coming up? I don't know too much about PlayStation, but. And then Nintendo Direct is like Nintendo's keynote, where it's like an hour of here's what's coming out, like a dedicated event to be like, here's all these games that we're announcing right in this moment live. So that's what it was. I watched most of it live at work. I missed the first 20 minutes, but I rewound back and just watched the beginning. Did they announce the Switch 2 yet? No, not yet. It's unfortunately, Nintendo did mention back in May, and then they reiterated it the day before the Direct that at this Direct. So they mentioned the Direct in May, then they reiterated the Direct the day before the Direct that they're not going to talk about the Switch successor. So who knows if they're actually gonna announce it this year, or if that's gonna be sometime early 2025. We'll see. But anyways, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get Mario and Luigi Brothership because I enjoy that series. Next is Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. Whoa, that was loud. That looks fun. The NES Championships. It kind of reminds me of NES Remix in the sense of it's little short distance sprints of objectives, right? Isn't that what this is? It's not all full games that you play through, right? It's a specific objective, and it could be 30 seconds worth of play, and it's try to do this objective and get the highest score in the world. That's what I mean. NES Remix, that came out on the Wii U and then the 3DS. It's short little burst things to try to do. Looks fun. I want to get it. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I am down. I love this on the Wii. So this is an HD, who knows, a remaster, remake. Only time will tell once footage is actually out that you'll be able to line up side by side and just say, hey, this is a upscaled to 1080p, some texture swaps, or it's a from the ground up, whoa, whole new engine kind of thing. But I'm going to get it regardless, whether it's a remaster or a remake, because it's a fun game. A bunch of stuff announced. I don't really care for that. I'm just talking about the stuff I care about. Mario Party Jamboree looks good. I'm a Mario Party fan. I think I own every Mario Party. No, there's a couple 3DS games I think I don't own. In terms of Mario Party, is that Among Us? Among Us. Among Us. Among Us. Yeah, it looks like they're... What is it exactly? Is this DLC? What is this? I haven't played Among Us since 2020. I might have played a few times, maybe in 2021, 2022, just to revisit it. But I played this at the height. of like when it came out, like summer 2020. Oh yeah, so anyways, we don't have to watch the whole thing, but yeah, it looks like, I don't know if it's a DLC or update or what. Anyways, something different. No way is Among Us still alive. I swear they killed themselves with the account system stuff. Yeah, same. I feel like there was 2 games that I feel like blew up in 2020. Fall Guys and Among Us. And I feel like Fall Guys kind of did this because it was like new skins kind of came out, and so people were like, well, play again. I think I did. Actually, I think when Fall Guys came to the Switch, I like downloaded it on my Switch like in 2022 because it was like, oh, this is convenient because I mostly play my Switch. Bro, it ran like crap on the Switch because I originally got it on the PlayStation like in 2020 when it like first launched. It was so fun to play Fall Guys that like back then. It was like July, August 2020, maybe late June. Gosh, that was 4 years ago? Holy moly, man. The pandemic was 4 years ago, dude. Jeez. Wow. Okay. Anyways, I feel like those 2 games were super hype, and then it's like there's not much. They're not huge anymore. Obviously, there's like people who love those games that are still playing, but I feel like the hype of both those games have just tanked tremendously. I hated Jamboree. That's because they had Rainbow Castle and Westernland. They could have been DLC or free updates to Mario Party Superstars. That was a cash cow move, in my opinion. I think I'm excited about it because I think the board structure is kind of going back to like how things were. It seemed like for a minute they kind of did weird things with like Mario Party 9, Mario Party 10 on the Wii U. I think the past couple ones they've gone back to like that normal structure again where it's like you're individual and you move around the map. Because in Mario Party 9 and 10 it was like everybody like moves together. It's kind of weird. It's like, nah, man, it's supposed to be like Monopoly. What is this crap? Anyways, it looks good. Mario IP or Mario games are kind of like Call of Duty. It's like whether it's trash or not, I'm gonna get it. And the games look fun. I mean, look. We'll just play it. Yeah.
Biggest in Jamboree.
Just the games.
Change your path. Things along with 2 Mario Party games. Make some mini games or action-packed speed trials, a battle of wins, more. And some are controlled by gently shaking or tilting your Joy-Con controllers. With over 110 mini games, there's a wide variety to enjoy. Also, up to 20 head-to-head online in the Coupathlon mode. Compete against your rivals.
Okay, so some of these games look fun. Oh shit! Big ass Bowser coming for you, dude. Run.
Wait, there are even more new modes? Biggest Mario
Okay, some of the stuff looks fun.
will be underway when the Super Mario Party Jam is on the Nintendo.
So that's why. Anyways, the Zelda game. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan of top-down games, 2D games. I like my games in 3D, third person, first person, whether it's a shooting game, an RPG. Again, I'm not a big fan of isometric top-down views. It just kind of gives like That's the only way we can make a game due to technology, like Legend of Zelda, the first one. But there are exceptions that are fun. So, like, I enjoyed Link's Awakening. And this is, like, the same engine of, like, Link's Awakening. Here, fast forward.
Link. Zelda learned how to create an imitation of it, an echo. Once you learn an echo of something...
So I'm probably going to get it anyways. I'm a huge Zelda fan as well. So whether Zelda is... Whether the Zelda game is a trash game or not, I'm going to get it. Yeah. I prefer, like, a full-on Zelda game where it's like, like Link is in front of you, it's third person. Not a big fan of, like, as if I'm playing like a DS, a 3DS, or a Game Boy, but it is what it is. And so for what this kind of game is, like a Link's Awakening and this, it looks fun for what it is. So I'm probably going to get it. Does that make sense? Is my reasoning irrational? Am I a moron? Am I cringe? Am I giving my takes lame? Are they L takes? Squishy says yes. Okay. What are you saying yes to? Me, I'm cringe, or that they're good, they're reasonable takes? JK, okay, you're joking about me being cringe. All the above. I guess I'm an old head. Yeah, you're right. Nate, you're so old, bro. What else? Looks like they're bringing straight to the Nintendo. Tales of the Shire was like it's like a farm sim. Oh, somebody on Reddit was so hilarious. They were like, when they announced the direct, people on like Reddit were like, please let it not be like 80% like JRPGs and like farm simulator games. And it's funny is that this direct was pretty decent in like actually having like good first party IPs and like third party IPs. But there were a few like JRPGs and farm sims where I'm just like, what? Like those don't look fun at all, bro. But yeah, they were like, bro, there's gonna be 4 farm simulators. And I mean, they were kind of right. I mean, look, let's see, which one's a farm sim? Hello Kitty Island Adventure is kind of a farm. I guess it's a farm sim. I don't know what you would call it because it's a Animal Crossing clone, but Animal Crossing is no longer Animal Crossing that much anymore. Like, Animal Crossing has like has added a lot of very farm sim elements to its game on New Horizons, and Hello Kitty Island Adventure is very farm simish. So yeah. What is this? The new Denpa Men? This looks like it has some farm sim to it. What else? Am I missing any more farm simulators? Oh, Tales of the Shire. I guess that's it. Anyways, you get the point. Okay, moving back down. Tales of the Shire, sure, why not? I might get that. I want to get the Nintendo Switch Sports. You know, I was a huge Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort fan back in the day. And I still haven't gotten this. And this game's like, what, 3, 4, 5 years old this time? At this point? The expansion pack, we got the Four Swords, Metroid Prime Zero Mission, Turok, and Perfect Dark. Oh, yeah, here's an example of what it looks like developing like early in a console's lifetime versus like games that come out later. So Turok was an early N64 title. And if you look at the style of the graphics, or just the style of the graphics themselves and how they like did things, it looks, and you compare it against like Perfect Dark, which was a later FPS like game in the Nintendo 64's lifetime, like Perfect Dark looks so much better. Like, look at that, dude. Look how much better that looks. Both great games. I love the first Turok. Not the biggest fan of anything after that. The first Turok I loved, bro. But that's just an example. Yeah, it's like you look at the okay, so if you guys never really played these games, like Squishy, to you're like, well, everything looks old. That makes sense. But I had like a ground level, boots on the ground experience in the trenches, hands dirty of experiencing these games as they came out and played them both. Like you could definitely tell when you're playing, like, this game was, the Turok was very much like, I don't know how to tell it, a very immature like style graphics, meaning because it was like, you know, the people that developed Turok, was it Acclaim, right? They you know, it was an early N64 game. So by the time Perfect Dark came out, it's like developers got the console down. They got how to develop down by that point. Again, that's why like games later released on the later in a console's lifetime like generally look better and run better. Switch Sports is mid, not as good as Wii Sports, and Wii Sports Resort was. Really? I think I'm gonna get it just to get it and see, but I believe you, Squishy. I think, like, I don't know if anything will ever come close to Wii Sports again. I still have the physical Turok on Switch. Physical on Switch? Did you mean the re-release by Limited Run Games? I have the physical Turok that I got back in the 90s, box and everything. It's in the closet. I don't want to get out to show you because there's a lot of crap in the way. And I'm sure you believe me. And you can look at my Instagram. I've like posted like a picture, like complete in box of all the stuff taken out and like on display. But back in like 2019, they limited run games did a Turok physical Switch release. Turok 1 and 2, like each individual like case together as a bundle. Yeah. Oh, cool. So that's cool that you got limited run as well. Yeah. But yeah, again, Turok looks immature in its style of graphics compared to Perfect Dark that's so finely tuned by that time because the devs like got it down. Luigi's Mansion 2, dude. I love the Luigi's Mansion series. Luigi's Mansion might be my favorite spin-off of the Mario series. The original one on the GameCube, in my opinion, is the best. Like, Luigi's Mansion 3 was fun. I own Luigi's Mansion 2 on the 3DS, and I've like played like maybe a quarter into it. Unfortunately, just didn't have time to like play a lot of it. And it was fun. But those will never come close to the original GameCube one. The original GameCube one was just made so well. It's like a masterpiece. It's like, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 might look better, but it's like, it's just something about like a masterpiece is like, it's timeless. Like, even if it doesn't look good, like graphically is as good as these games, like it's so well done. But anyways, the point being is I love the Luigi's Mansion series. I own Luigi's Mansion 2 already. Side note, kind of weird how they're calling it Luigi's Mansion 2 HD for the Switch, but it's called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS. Anyways, but they're both the same game. It's just a port to the Switch and upscaled to probably, who knows, was it? Is it actually at 1080p? I've been told that a lot of Switch games are actually not at 1080p. A lot of them are like at 720p or some in-between resolution, and when it's in the dock, it's like upscaled to 1080p, but upscaled in the sense of like it just fits the, it just fits your TV without any black bars upscaling. Not like we're doing some super sampling, whatever it is, like up to 1080p. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It actually comes out next week. Let's see. I'm not using Woohoo Island, and does not contain as many sports as the older Wii Sports. And Wii Sports Resort had, but for the few they do have, at least they feel better to play compared to the Wii. Okay. Okay, so Swishy, so you've played Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. Which one did you like better? Depends on the games. Some run native if docked, some are upscale, but when not docked, they're low. That's right. Yeah, handheld it's generally right. Like I guess it depends on each game, but the general idea is that yeah, if it's docked, it's 1080p, and if it's handheld, 720p. But yeah, I think it was it Xenoblade Chronicles, or there was this like Fire Emblems game my cousin was showing me that it was like actually like the game was in a super low resolution, like even docked. So it was like, I think docked it was like 720p, then handheld it was like 540p or something wild. I was like, whoa, that's like bad, but okay. Wii Sports Resort had more to do and contained Woohoo Island. Yeah, Resort was fun. I remember getting, I remember going to Best Buy and getting it, and it coming with like the Motion Plus sensor, right? You would connect to your Wiimote. And then eventually they just made a standard that like the second gen Wiimotes are all like the Motion Plus sensor was like built into it. Yeah, fun fact in terms of like resolution differences. Zelda Breath of the Wild launched on the Wii U and the Switch. Did you know that both games, the game ran on both consoles at different resolutions? So both consoles, they tried to get it like to run around 30 FPS the best they could. Well, what I mean by that is that they didn't cap it at 30 FPS, meaning it was hitting it consistently and getting like 40 something and, you know, or high 30s. I mean, like, they tried to get it around 30. Like, there's a lot of parts in the game that run like even below 20. Breath of the Wild did not run well on both consoles in certain parts of the game. But anyways, the Wii U version ran at 900p, which is a weird in-between resolution between 1080p and 720p. I guess they were like, if it's at 720p, it probably runs like at 45, 50 frames a second, but doesn't look as good. 1080p, we can only get like 15 frames at it, so 900p, it's like high 20s, maybe 30s most of the time. But the Switch version runs at 1080p 30. But if you play Cemu, the Wii U emulator, you could play as high as 8K, 10K resolution, at 60 frames, 120 frames. I think there might be even some people playing at 240 frames. Anyways, I was able to play the game at like, what, 8K 30 or 5K 30 frames a second. You know, I'm sorry. It was like 8K. I can play the game at 8K at 30 frames, which is essentially how the game is like. That's the smoothest that the game is actually played on the consoles, whether it be Wii U or Switch. Or I could play it at like 5K at 60 frames. It's just so wild that like the game can actually look that good and run that good. Let's see. I was too young to remember getting it. I think we had it already by the time I was playing games. Hogwarts Legacy, I think, is 540 handled and upscaled 720p docked. Wow. Yeah, that just proves my point more. Like, the Switch is really not an impressive console at all, you guys. Again, I've said my qualifications. I'm not a hater. I love Nintendo. They're my favorite. They're my favorite company, video game company, developer, whatever it is. And I love my Switch. But let's be real here. Like, Nintendo has not ever... Okay, maybe... At one point, you could say maybe at one point, like... They cared about, like, performance and good games. But after that, or I would say maybe most of the time, like, those are, like, exceptions, but most of the time, Nintendo's more concerned about fun games and gimmicks. And gimmicks, I don't know if gimmick has a negative connotation to a gimmick. I would just say that, like, gimmick in the sense of, like, motion controls, right? It's a gimmick, right? And it doesn't always necessarily mean a bad thing. But anyways, with that being said, it's like the Switch is... They're more focused on the gimmick. They don't care about power. And that is... But that's Nintendo's style of doing things. They're more concerned about good games and making things fun than they are about, like... We're literally developing using, like, atoms versus polygons for stuff. Check out these look at ray tracing and shadows on this game. It's like, you know, the argument is like, dude, you can have, like, all this crap, like, build a game in Unreal Engine 5, crazy ray tracing, like, photorealism kind of graphics, but it's like, if the game sucks, then, like, who cares, right? Like, that's their whole thing, is it, like, they're fun game and gimmick first, then power. And again, the Switch, you have to realize, dude, the Switch in terms of its specs are kind of like somewhere in between the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. Like, 1080p is an old... Dude, that's a standard that was, like, people were hitting, like, in the 2010s, right? Like my second monitor right here, above the camera, this is a 1080p 60 hertz monitor from, like, 2012. I mean, that was the target resolution and, like, frame rate and hertz on, like, monitors and games in, like, the early 2010s. And they launch a console in 2017 and go, this could do 1080p docked and 720p handheld. It's like, okay. I mean, like, are you, like, proud of that? Because that's not impressive. Or are you just simply telling us what the specs are? So it's like, that's the reality of the Switch. The Switch has never been an impressive console. It was never meant to be. It was meant to be something fun, convenient, a fun little gimmick. Let's see. At least they outdid Sega number of systems wise. Yeah, more systems. That's true. GameCube, I think, was the last powerful console they did before being more family-friendly, cheap, gimmicky console. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the GameCube was actually impressive graphic-wise. It was the second... So, in that generation of the Xbox, PS2, GameCube, the GameCube was the second best, most powerful console in that generation. Well, I forget, the Dreamcast is technically in the generation. Most people don't think about it, but technically, the Sega Dreamcast was the fourth console in the console race, right? It's just they went out of business right around PS2's launch. Or not far after, I forgot exactly, but... Anyways, the Xbox... So, like, you know, like, during that time, they released, like, 3 games on... Or they released a game on... They would release a game on all 3 consoles. Just kind of like how they do now, right? It's like, if you got, like let's say Soul Calibur, right? If you got Soul Calibur on the Xbox, it looked the best. If you got on the GameCube, it looked second best. If you got on the PS2, it looked the worst. Yeah, GameCube was impressive. Again, it wasn't the best. Xbox was definitely the more powerful console. But, yeah, it was. That was like, yeah, the last console that they like tried to make good. From what I know, Switch 2 is going to be like that. Yeah, so I think we've already talked about it, but the Switch 2 is apparently going to be pretty powerful. It's going to be able, from what rumors have said, that they can run stuff in 4K 60. That's pretty good. That's like Xbox One. That's like the Xbox One X. I think somebody said it that the Switch successor, we're going to keep calling it Switch 2. We'll find out what the real name is, but we'll all call it Switch 2, just like we called the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo NX. The Switch 2, spec-wise, from what I've been told, is going to sit somewhere between the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X. Like, it's like somewhere around like late gen Xbox One specs, where it's running games at 4K 60, and then take Switch games and make them run at a higher fidelity and frame rate. Yeah, from what I've been told, it's going to be like a little more concerned about fidelity, this console. Wasn't Dreamcast 99 so way before the Xbox and PS2, GameCube, well, 1-2 years? Yes, it was. But technically, the generation is like, it starts at the Dreamcast and ends like at the Xbox. Even though the Dreamcast came out like a year or two before the Xbox. Yeah, before most consoles nowadays, things were kind of weird back then. Things were kind of unorthodox, how things were released and like when they were released. Sega, Nintendo, like everybody was just like doing what they want in terms of like order, like. So when the Xbox and the PlayStation and the GameCube came out, you know, the next 2 generations or 3 generations is kind of the only time that all 3 companies decided to kind of all launch their stuff at the same time, you know? Like even before that, with the generation before that, with the 3DO, right? Is it 3DO? Sega Saturn, PS1, N64, and the Philips CDI, and maybe the 3DO, and the Atari Jaguar. Anyways, in that generation, it was all staggered. It wasn't until right around the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era that we began to see them going like, we're all launching our console around November of whatever year that is. So, GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation all like kind of come out around the same time. PS2 was before them both, but then you fast forward to the generation after that with the Wii, 360, and PS3. They all kind of came out around the same time. The next launch with the Wii U, PS4, and Xbox One, you kind of just start to see them kind of break up again. Like, as of right now, Nintendo is like on their own track. Did you guys know that? Nintendo is not on track with the Xbox and PlayStation. Did you guys know that? The Wii U was the last console that they launched on track with their competitors, Xbox and PlayStation. They argue that the Switch is actually not current gen. So for example, the Switch came out 2017, early. The Wii U was the generation with the Xbox One and the PS4. but they launched the Switch like halfway through that generation. So technically Nintendo has had 2 consoles with that generation. Did you guys know that? And by this time, Nintendo should have launched another console after the Switch when the Series X and the PS5 came out. But the Switch is still here. So we're kind of back on the whole... Not every company is releasing their stuff at the same time now. So that being said, it used to kind of be like that with the Sega Dreamcast era, right? Like Squishy, like you being born and like kind of where you're at now, the generations you've seen of like the Wii, the Xbox One, all that stuff, and them kind of all being on the same track, that has been only a trend from then until kind of about now. You know, that hasn't always been the standard. Let's see. Not sure if that's true, but without optimization, Hogwarts Legacy is running 720, 30 FPS. Not sure if that's docked or not. I assume not docked. I thought the Switch was way older than it is. Yes. Switch is old. A lot of people assume it's like yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a lot of people don't know that it's technically an Xbox One PS4 gen console. I beg to differ. You beg to differ what, Nate? About what generation the Switch is? I knew it was Xbox One gen console type, but I also thought it came out back in 2013-14 period. Oh, the Switch? You thought it came out that old? Here, I even have some factual stuff to back up what I'm talking about. Look here. In terms of generation. So look, so going back to the 5th generation. People don't realize. A lot of people think the Saturn was before, but technically the Saturn was the era of the PlayStation N64. And the least popular stuff, the Jaguar and 3DO. 5th gen, 6th gen, Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. 7th, Xbox 360, PS3, Wii. 8th gen, right here, just what I was talking about. The Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. 9th gen, starting in 2020. Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. Yeah, I saw it as current gen because of the fact that the Wii U was off the 5-year limit by 1 year. The Wii, however, managed to have 7 years. Yeah, so I don't know what standard they use to determine what gen is, what the generation is. Maybe it's technical specs. That might be it. But yeah, so technically the Nintendo Switch is not a next-gen console. And here's the thing. The Nintendo Switch may have been planned to be a 9th gen console, but they had to release it early because the Wii U did not do well. Had the Wii U done well, the Switch might have been an Xbox Series X, S, PS5 competitor. And maybe they would have waited to optimize it to play at higher resolutions. But yeah, right here, even says right here on Wikipedia, dude, it's considered a 8th gen console. So technically, Nintendo has released 2 consoles in the 8th gen. Sega Saturn was PS1 and 64, I think. Yep, no, you're right. You're right. It says right here. 5th gen, 3DO, Jaguar, Saturn, PS1, Nintendo 64. Because I thought the Nintendo Switch was technically 9th gen, but they released it early, kind of thing. Like meaning that Nintendo was ahead of everybody. Because technically, if you actually look at it like that, right, in terms of just like arbitrary, we released Wii U 8th gen, so whatever console comes next is going to be 9th gen no matter what. Well, if you look at that perspective, which I think most people have done, people still do, and how I did, is that I looked at it as, oh, Nintendo released their 9th gen system early. But technically, it's not a 9th gen console. It's an 8th gen. So Nintendo has released 2 consoles in the 8th generation of consoles. So when this Switch successor comes out, it's going to be a 9th gen console, and they'll kind of be, it'll kind of be like in their own timeline, I guess, like because they're not like releasing in line with the other guys. But yeah, like I said, and even here, as you can see, Nintendo Switch is technically a second console they released during the 8th generation. If Wii U sold well, then we could have had backwards compatibility both Wii and Wii U. Oh, you mean like on the Switch? Like they'd make it so you could play Wii and Wii U games. But so I first heard somebody say this about the Switch. I was watching like a game collector, and he was like, "The Nintendo Switch is technically an 8th gen console," and I'm like, "What? No, the Wii U is. You can't have 2 consoles. You can't have 2 consoles in the same generation." You know, they'd be like if the PS3 and the PS4 were like both 7, they're both 8th. It's like it doesn't make any sense because it's like then one's 7th and one's 8th. Then you just make one 7th, one 8th, right? It wouldn't make sense to be like they're both 7th gen consoles. They're both 8th gen consoles. It's like, well, make up your mind, because at that point it's like, why just call one 7th and one 8th, because the one you have one before and one later. Like, make one 7th, make one 8th. And that's how I think most people thought of the Switch. It was like, okay, so if the Wii U is 8th, then this thing's technically 9th. Which I thought everybody thought, but it's not. It's technically 8th gen. Again, I don't know what the details are of those qualifications. But yeah, it's technically an 8th gen console. So it's really weird to think like Nintendo released 2 distinct consoles in the same gen. Now, we're not talking like mid-gen refresh like what Xbox did of like Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, where technically they're like different consoles in the sense of like how powerful they are. Like they're actually like different consoles, right? If the Xbox One plays at 1080p, you got the Xbox One S that can upscale to 4K, and then you got the Xbox One X that can play natively 4K, right? So you have like technically 3 consoles that can play your games at like different fidelities and performance wise with frames per second, right? But that's not what Nintendo did. The Wii U and Nintendo Switch are 2 distinct separate consoles in the same generation. It's so weird. I think it would have been a whole different system, right? If it would have gone the disc route. Anyways, this has been a yap sesh, has it not been? This has been a good yap sesh. What do you guys think? What is bro yapping about, right? Anyways, we're gonna play. Let's play a little bit of games, all right? Let's play a little bit of games. What do you think? I think I'm gonna play a level of COD. Anyways, Nate, now that you've heard me yap about what I thought about the direct, what are your thoughts on the direct, Nate? Did you like it? What did you like and what did you not like? We are yappers. Just play. There we go. Straight to the point, Nate. Straight to the point. There you go. Yeah. Ugh. I've been told that's like a very American thing to do. Sneezing, like this or something like that. Apparently, outside the U.S., people don't do that when they sneeze. Like they don't like cover like that. They like use their hand or they just don't cover anything. From what I've been told, people say it looks like Americans are like Dracula because they like cover up like this or they like do something like this. Like they're afraid of the sun. There we go. Let's boot her up, boys. Boot her up. Fresh boot. I only just thought of this, but best way to play virtual Game Boy games would be a VR headset emulator. Yes, like what you're doing, right? Emu VR. It was decent. I thought I thought that Metroid was going to be a Switch 2 thing, but holy crap, it managed to show up after all these years. Yep. I was fond of Perfect Dark and Trog for Nintendo Switch Online because we had acclaimed titles recently. Wasn't expecting it now, but wow. I already gave my 2 cents with Mario Party and Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Oh, question. Nate, do you have Nintendo Switch Online? I forgot. I forgot if you like said you did or you didn't. Excuse me, princess. Even VR is good, but there's dedicated Virtual Boy emulators for VR headsets to basically act as a more advanced Virtual Boy. Oh, interesting, interessante. This is way too loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. I was expecting more GameCube ports like F-Zero, but whatever. Oh yeah, I was hoping for Mario Kart 9, dude. But yeah, you're right, dude. Like, when's the last time we had a F-Zero game?
Surprised to see you back from the hospital so soon, Sarge.
Sarge here got real friendly with a Kraut mortar round.
You, Brooklyn. I could have used a break for your wisecracks.
Hey, I take a nice, comfy hospital bed away time. Besides, what lovely nurse could refuse my obvious charms? Heads up, guys.
Okay, form up. Word just came down from regiment. Our flyboys having a German convoy that was headed for Mons. We need to recon the area and make sure they got the job done. As I said, our boys did a number on them, so we can expect very little contact. The brass wants us to take and mop up any survivors before the dozers can roll in and clear the way. You boys pulled an easy change. In and out, quick. Back in time for the jump off. Outstanding, ladies. Mount up.
It's on the table. I just need to double check the backwards compatibility first. I might be involved for 1 year, but might extend depending on circumstances. Okay.
Hey, watch it, Matt!
Watch where you're driving, Private. Crowds are trying to kill us.
Whoa.
Controls for Mons. Eyes open. Private. Nothing we can do here. Alert and watch your speed.
I can barely see the road, Sarge.
Slow down, Steo.
We're best. Our boy sure did get
Push! Back up! Get moving!
Audio bugging? Oh shoot, what's it doing? Okay. Anyways, thank you for pointing that out. But I just realized it probably didn't like that I unplugged it and plugged it back in while I'm live on stream. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm probably gonna need to spend time to troubleshoot that. I'm just not in the mood. So why don't we save that for like tomorrow night? We'll continue. And try this game out. And play some Mario. Play some Mario tomorrow. Yeah. Based on what I'm looking at, I'm gonna need to try a bunch of crap to get this to work. I just did a hard reset on the capture card to unplug it, plug it back in. But if you guys know anything about capture cards, they don't like it while you're like in the middle of streaming or have a capture software open. So, oh well. Anyways, let me at least catch up with chat. Let me at least catch up with you guys. Talking with you guys has actually been fun tonight, even if we didn't play any games. I think Mario Kart is a Switch 2 thing. We just finished 8 Deluxe DLC and Tour, and Namco was hiring for new projects. And it is the same team that did Mario Kart and Smash. I also was surprised on Zelda because Zelda. I thought Wind Waker or Twilight Princess could have been ported at the same time. They released Tears of the Kingdom, and now releasing another one. Yes, I think the issue is that they released Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker HD already on the Wii U, and so those are technically not Wii U games that have like missed their chance to be ported to the Switch. Like it's not going to be treated as like a Mario Kart 8 or a Pokken Tournament or Super Mario Bros. Wii U, because those are technically just HD remakes from other consoles that happen to come out on the Wii U. But it would have been nice. I'll take a Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. Matter of fact, you know what I think they should do? They should do a Zelda All-Stars. They would never call it that. But I think they should do like HD. I mean, I would love a remake, but if they did HD like remasters like they did with Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and just like maybe added Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask into all one bundle, you know, kind of like a 3D All-Stars on the Switch, that'd be cool. At the same year to conclude, it was really not really what I expected, but I got used to at the end of the day. It was good overall, but I'm hoping that the Switch 2 presentation later this year would be much more robust. Same. Maybe I'll just shut up next time. That's okay. I think it was fun talking. It would have to be Ocarina of Time 3D being ported. I'll take that. I agree with that. It seems that they're able to port 3DS stuff to the Switch, so you're right. Why not port more stuff like Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, Star Fox 3D, Sticker Star, Paper Mario. Anyways, you guys, let's conclude the stream here. Thank you, Squishy. Thank you, Nate, and anybody else who's been lurking. And thank you for your support, you guys. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Let's try to stream tomorrow night, maybe a little earlier, so we have time for our Yap sesh and gaming sesh, and then I'll try to figure out what happened with the capture card, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I just need time to either reset couple things, refresh a couple things, play around with it. It should be fine. It's not like I think that something really bad happened. I think it's just one of those weird things where it didn't like that, and so now I got to restart my PC. Right click on properties, you know the drill. We gotta do when you're troubleshooting and stuff. But yeah, but that would make sense since NSO is a thing. Yes. Alright, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, Squishy. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Later.